I think that George Goebel gave his audiences magic. There's a line in Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. And the line is, I don't want realism, I want magic. And that's what they got. You were convinced that you were watching a magician. He looked the part, dressed the part, played the part of a magician on and off the stage. Now, George Frederick Goebel III was born on Tuesday, July 19th, 1932 in Baltimore. I think that inside the child was the sleeping mind of a magician waiting to grow up. Like many of us, it was there already waiting for expression. He got the proverbial Misto magic set, and his first act was in his 100-student school at the May Mart. He would purchase his first magic trick from Meyer Finkelstein, who ran the National Novelty Company in Baltimore. And guess what? It was an egg bag. There was no stopping after that. He began to make his own magic tricks, such as a cardboard die box, and he performed more and more. His supportive father helped him make a substitution trunk, and so it went. He was highly influenced by Blackstone Sr. and by his association with the then called Pyramid Club under the direction of Ernest Marx, known as Fess, and also known as the Lord High Faker of the Pyramids. He heard all the time about Thurston, and of course Thomas Chew Worthington, and Henry Ridgely Evans. In the meantime, he started work with A.T. Jones Company. His work at the costume company would last a lifetime, and he would become the owner. This is not a place that outfits Halloween things. It's bigger than that. He knew all the magicians of Baltimore, including Phil Thomas, Hen Fetch, and his dear friend and magic associate, Carol Bish. Magic was treated seriously in those days, and especially in the well-known Society of Osiris. In 1952, during a 3-year stint in the Army, Goebel was in Japan. He did many shows, many escapes, not including his becoming a judo student, earning a black belt degree. In Japan, he had restraint devices built and fabricated. It was the beginning of a great collection of escape items. He would also gather, little by little, a vast collection of magic memorabilia. You've seen some of it on the screen. It's only a small segment. Photos, programs, letters, autographed books, apparatus belonging to the greats. Believe me that in 2010, the Goebel collection is very large and largely unknown. And I wish to quote the immortal words of Ray Goulet. This guy's a sleeper. Anyway, the building of the illusion show is a story in itself. Today, there are tons of it on the 3rd floor of the Jones Company. All this and more, of course, is naturally in the book, plus the footage on the disc. It was in 1957 that George married Carol Busby. They would become the parents of 2 sons, Daniel and Erich, known as Rick. Rick is now a central figure in the ongoing business of the Jones Company, and Dan, of course, is an international pilot of Europe and other places all around the world. Carol knew that magic was George's overriding passion. And George says that without Carol, he could not have accomplished what he did. So together they were a team and are still together after over 53 years. At the soon conclusion of my presentation, we will have, of course, the interview session with George McCarl and Mark. I will ask them questions. Perhaps some of you will wish to ask a question about the show or about his collection. In the meantime, as in the title of the book, I call George a man with a magical mind. I also call him a man of the theater. Now, his mind is both theatrical and magical. He understands how theater and magic blend together, and in a real sense, he is somewhat outside of magic, and that is where the real magic begins. He is, for me, an example of the theater of the mind. He has the capacity for imagination where in the mind is a stage. In the mind, we are always presenting our imaginations to ourselves. Inside everyone is a secret inner theater where we play out our dreams, our visions, and our ideas. It is like an artist or sculptor envisions a finished product, or as Thomas Edison once said, nothing is impossible, we merely don't know yet how to do it. George knew how to do it. So things are played out first in the mind and then in real time until it becomes a physical reality. Goebel has lived in the theater of the mind. Now, summing this up. Creating a large illusion show had its first beginnings in the mental theater. Slowly it formed and took shape in the real world until it was a production audiences could see that previously were only formations yet to be. Now the same can be said for Keller, for Thurston, for Blackstone, for Dante, for Legrand David and Cesario's creativity, his mind, his theater of the mind. Each had a vision in his mind of what they wanted to create. Goebel's story has many threads and crisscrosses and intersections, but his world was not without its trials and tribulations, of course. But for me, what emerges in the world of Goebel is not chaos, not addiction, not violence, not evil. That would surely make for a dramatic story, as in Pleasant Nightmares and Dr. Nap. But with Goebel, it happens to be a lifestyle that's manageable, creative, and sensible. Now, that is what makes Goebel's story appealing to me and was a motivating factor in my desire to write about him. In conclusion, and in respect to Goebel, the book and the disc that goes with it, I shall quote the British author Samuel Johnson, who said, "There has rarely passed a life of which a judicious and faithful narrative would not be useful." George will be at the table later if you want to sign a poster, or he wants to sign a poster, anything. Yeah, he's very gracious. And I don't know what you're going to ask him. I have no idea what you're Thank you so much, and we'll gather now.